How's it going, everybody? It's John again with Crippled Fox Gaming, and I'm gonna show you kind of some projects I'm working on. I'm gonna show you how to paint kind of a dark weathered wood kind of color on some things. I've got a bunch of different colors here. I've got some secret weapon. They're kind of trio or trifecta of colors that they use for various things. They've got rust colors, they've got mud colors, they've got tire colors, they've got this dark wood kind of trio. There's dark wood, which is kind of a grayish brown. There's handle wood, which is your standard kind of woody color, and then there's weathered wood, which is more of a kind of a highlight I'm using on some of these fences I'm painting for a big project I've got coming up for Adepticon. And so what I'll do is I will get stuff set up here and I will show you what's going on. So what I've got here, I've got some of Mantic's the Terrain Crate fences and stuff like that, and I prime everything white just because it's easier for me to get stuff kind of going a little more quickly, get things started and get them finished and get them on the table. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to start by painting them the dark wood color, which will kind of blend into the the white primer will kind of help it to hit as I water down the color will sink into the kind of the woody grain and the recesses and stuff here, so I don't get too much water on this thing. Gotta grab my handy dandy towels. And so I'm just gonna do a nice base coat on these. They've got grass and stuff around the bottom, but I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna kind of show you the wood, the texture of the wood grain that I'm doing. And I was painting these top down because I would end up painting some of these and missing parts, and then I would go back and dry brush the highlights, and I would have to go back and then redo it again. So I'm going to go from top to bottom, T to B, and just kind of paint these things up and get my fingers all nice and painty, which I am known to do, and it all washes off just fine. So this kind of gray, the thing is, when you're painting wood, if you look at trees, actually they are kind of a grayish color, maybe a little bit of green in some of them, but most bark on trees and the outside of firewood, a lot of it is kind of a darkish gray. I learned that from when I was in theater. We were painting a great big tree for a show we were doing, and the tech guy, George White, kind of was telling us, so you know how to look at these, and you go out and look at a tree, and sure enough, guy was gray. He knew what he was talking about, and still does. But these are fences and stuff that have been outside for quite a while, so they will have whether they were brown or they get, when you split open a log to make boards, you're leaving the bark on the outside, but then as the wood ages as it's outside, kind of starts to lose its color and get a little bit weathered, and that kind of gray will show up. If you look on old barns or old houses and stuff that have been outside for a long time, they will have this kind of a gray color to it. I've got a good base coat on this thing, and I will let this dry. Let that dry for a few minutes, because it doesn't do any good to dry brush over something that's wet. And now that that's dry, I think I'm going to go a little bit in between color with a Reaper Rainy Gray. That's kind of the next step up from the Secret Weapon Dark Wood. Just a little bit. It's a little bit. Maybe should have shook that up a little bit better. I'm gonna go kind of perpendicular to that. The grain that goes this way on the fencing here. Kind of go over this maybe a little bit. Then I'll go over it with the other two secret weapon colors that I'm doing here. Kind of getting this, and see, that's what you get for messing with stuff that's not quite dry on the top. You pick it up with your fingers and you get it all over your fingers and none on the piece. So I'm going to go over this a bit more, kind of gradually, and just build up the layers. And if I get any in there too far, or if I don't dry brush it off enough, I'll just go back over it when I do the highlight and kind of See, it's supposed to look like that because naturally weathered wood doesn't look, it's not perfect, and I will sure show you examples of not perfect as I can go along here. And this actually is dry enough. I should be able to go over it. I'm going to go over it a little bit because on some of my other pieces, the handle wood actually is a little bit, it's just lighter enough, and it's a kind of a contrast to what I've got on here. And I'll show you kind of how that will go, and kind of brings out some of the, well, not like that. Kind of bring that up the color that it used to be before it got stuck outside, getting all weathered and such. So I'm kind of going over this. Like I said, perpendicular to the grain as it goes. Try not to get my big head in here. There's some spots on here that could probably, I could have filled in. There's some little, I don't know if that's mold circles or what the heck that thing is, but I'm just going to go over this as I go, and I see it kind of pick out some of that detail. I'm sure if I had the paper towel here, it would dry brush a little bit easier than this, but I'm just kind of going for this quick. And if I feel like it, sometimes I'll wash. I'll go back to my standard, talent in a can of the Citadel Gloss Agrax Earth Shade, which is kind of a nice. It picks out the shadows of everything that you want. But this, I'm just going to kind of keep going. And I got to that, and then I go to the top, which is the weathered wood, which is that kind of really light gray. It's not. Because in some of the other stuff I've used the bone shadow and the polished bone and the aged bone. And those are kind of a nice, they've got a little bit of brown in with the gray. But this I'm just gonna use this to highlight what's on here. Maybe. And everything I do, like I said, it's quick, and because I've got probably 25 of these things I need to get painted up for a bunch of terrain that you should see at Adepticon if you are there, and if not, then you can see it on here before it gets put on the table, and you can say that you saw it even before everybody else did. Neat, huh? So well, that's coming out there. You can see that. The grain on this is actually really good. I like the details of this has come out. Like I said, except for this side, there's some of those little dots where the plastic was either cut off of a sprue. I don't know how they make these things. I just going to paint them up, and if you want to get in there close and say, hey, what's that bit here? Well, you're a better man than I, and I don't know what to tell you. So if you're looking for perfection on the tabletop, you're in the wrong place, young man. And that's all I really am going to really do with these. I think, because I've done a couple more of these, like I said, I've painted the grass down the bottom. What I'm going to do with this here is I'm just going to flock those when I glue them onto the table. I haven't painted the metal braces on these yet. There's hinges there that I'm going to paint with this nice scorched metal here. And here is what one of the fence looks like that I just painted with the handle wood. That's kind of a newer. I might go over that with a little wash here and see how that turns out. But all these other ones, like some of these I've painted and just haven't dry brushed over them yet. And so I'll just kind of go over these, as I go through all my other stuff. This is one that I've, how well that focuses on there. I went over these, like I said, with the other ones, and I think I started this one with the bone shadow, which has got that kind of, you can see it's a little bit more brown with the gray on the bottom and there, and the base coat. And I think, what else do I have over here? I've got a muddy brown. I have a olive skin shadow that I may have used on that. It's been, I start experimenting with things, and I can never remember how I've come up with the color schemes that I've got. But I think that's pretty much how it's going to look. for now. And this one, I think actually I will wash this one with that Agrax Earthshade and see how that comes out. Yeah, these are almost dry. This was the lighter tan handlewood color, and then I used was the Reichland Flesh Shade gloss from Citadel. And like I said, I used the gloss because I think it's a little more viscous. I think it sticks it stays where it's put a little better. And then this one is the Agrax Earthshade. You can see it kind of brings out the grain of the wood a little bit. And I'll probably go over this again with the lighter highlight, because it did kind of, I don't think the paint was quite dry when I put this on there. But I'll go over that. I'll dry brush over all that stuff, and then I will dull coat it to take the shine off of that. And I think then I'll flock this on the bottom of this, and I will show you what I do with these when I'm done. And that's it. It's about 10 minutes. It's about long enough to watch me sit here and paint stuff. And thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys later.